Hi, I'm David. I'm Milo's father. He was born in 2009. What happened? Was did I? He was born in 2008 in November. What happened was we had two girls very close together who were both unplanned. And about 3 years later, we decided, well, there's space for a third one. We would like to have a third child. And my thinking was, this is going to be my son. And it wasn't. It was another girl. From the word go, he was a strange child. You know, things like where we had to teach other kids how to, use a toilet and stop using nappies. And he did it himself. Another thing, for instance, is we had to put the other kids to bed. Not him. He at 8 o'clock at night, he would say, my battery is flat. He was a very independent-minded child, always involved in building creative things and building bridges and building his own bed. When he got into social situations, he's an incredibly controlling person, so he takes over and becomes the leader of his social group, whether it was in creche or in primary school or in high school. Everybody deferred to what Milo says is what everybody else does. We then went to on a holiday. We did a long road trip, so that's our way of doing holidays. We do long road trips. It went well. He was going to start high school the following year. That was last year, right?
It was the year before last year. I was starting grade 7.
Right. Okay.
Your time frame is a little bit...
Yeah, but I'm old. And we came back from this holiday and we thought we'd a brilliant family holiday. And like an idiot, you didn't tell anybody that you were trans. Yeah, but you never told us. And then he tried to commit suicide. So that it was incredibly hurtful. Luckily, at some point, he told Annika that he'd tried and it hadn't worked. And Annika, having gone through counseling and listeners came to us and said to us, look, this is what's happened. And that's when we intervened. Mom sat down with him, explained to him, what is it? And he said that, he identified he wanted to be a boy. And, in the beginning when he said that, it was a bit difficult for me to cope with. I thought that, from my side, I failed him as a father.
Yes, Caris. I'm Mr. Dumile, Peter Kumalo. I stay in Spreadview. Garabo is my son.
I'm Karabo Kumalo. I am 37, turning 38 later this year. I live in Polshof. This is my dad.
Everybody, Umabona, Ntombazan is thinking about the lobola and so many children. Manje, Matala Uguba, Ukarabo, Sas Tegele on to good pieces of Tola Ilobolo, Ukarabo, and Siben Abantwana was good. So suddenly, isn't it a change again? It didn't show up, it didn't tell us. But when we saw it, we found out ourselves, it was bad. Was bad. Well, when we find out, we used even to put the Bible under her bed at that time. Put Bible, have to pray for it, but Sabonoguti, we wasting our time. So, I took to the mother, I said, no, if you still want our child, let's not judge what he's doing. Let's go with her. We'll accept it and go forward. What can you do? Is what he wants to be.
I think he knew innately. I think my dad innately knew. I don't know if I've ever told him this, but there's a BB gun that he had that I took, and that sparked a love of BB guns for me. Actually, I started collecting BB guns as I got older and I could afford them. I would steal his boxes. I'm sure he noticed that. I'd steal his boxes and his socks or whatever. So I think he kind of would see. And then like when he's fixing the car, he'd call me and explain. He's even taught me about gun safety. I even remember them arguing a bit. Mom saying, oh, you're turning this child into a boy. I remember when I did start taking hormones, I was in Cape Town, so he hadn't seen me So I was nervous about like what he'd think of how I look and everything. And he just embraced me and told me I looked great as we got home. Because as much as he's Christian, he does respect his ancestors and his lineage. And he actually introduced me as I walked in, and he's like, "This is Garabo's back home, and he's a dude. So yeah, you're accepting a dude back." They even had a ceremony for me, like there was a cow and everything to actually officially accept me as the man I am, and the whole family came together. Even if it was against other people's beliefs or whatever, everyone came together and supported me being authentic and living my truth.
Ek is Kim se pa. Die dag toe toe hy gebore is, toe was ek in die wolke in. En die dag toe ek by die hospitaal kom, toe sê hulle vir my, maar jou seun is daar agter. Ek het nog nie vir haar gesien of enige iets nie. Toe weet hulle, is my kind wat daar agter is. Toe daar kom, dink ek, mooi kind. Toe dink ek, die kind, die seunskind gaan ek oplei, dat hy ook 'n teeler word, in my spore, en al die goedes doen. En daarvan af, toe begin ek groot raak, ons het 'n lekker relationship gehad, as pa en seun. Baie liefdevol gewees, lekker gelewe. Ek het daarbij gestoot met die karretjie, op die ouend, toe breek die karretjie, toe maak ek 'n nuwe kar, via moet die kar het ek gestoot, maar ons het 'n lekker lewe gehad.
Ja, ek onthou die dae toe my pa my gestoot het in die kerkie en gedra het. Ek wil nooit geloop het nie, my pa my gedra het oral na toe. En ek kan nie sê dat is 'n spesifieke tyd dat ek besef het ek is anders. Ek het opgegroei so en dis hoe ek is van kleins af. So is hier verandering.
Dit ons sien dat Kim nie 'n boy is nie, maar 'n girl is. Van die ma het al begin af sê, maar die kind wil nie onderbroeke dra nie. En die kind speel met poppe en sulke klutselgoed. Toe begin ons besef, maar Kim is nie meer 'n seun nie. En toe moet ek dit maar aanvaar, van dis my kind. Die Here het vir my 'n kind gegee. Hy het nie vir gesê 'n seun of 'n meisie gegee nie. Op die ou end toe sit 'n meisie. En dit was vir my bietjie snaaks, maar ek het aanvaar.
I blamed myself at that stage. Was the two older girls were my girls. You know, they were daddy's girls, and Milo belonged to his mom. From beginning, he was from his girl. And at that stage, realized, okay, I'd let him down somewhere along the line. But, you know, once you sit down with the boy and explain to him, and he explains to me that, you know, he just wanted to be a boy. He was playing video games, he had friends who were boys, and, you know, doing boyish stuff. And you kind of go through this mindset where you sit and go, okay, if this is what your child wants, it's still the same child. You know, he's still independent minded. He's still sort of a leader at school. He still has the same creativity and the sense of dedication and intelligence. And it's just that he wants to be a boy. So when we put our kids in school, there are a number of very good Afrikaans schools in our area. Only about 600 or 700 kids. But your challenge there is that it's a very Afrikaans community, very Christian community, and not necessarily capable of looking outside of those values that they have and being accepted. So we sent him to this school and he didn't fit in. So we had to take him out of Afrikaans environment and, okay, you're going to have to fit into an English environment. And I went to the school and sat down with the headmaster and explained, this is my child, he's trans, he's having some issues at his present school. Would you guys be prepared to look at him as a student and bring him? And we put him into the school, and it was like he took to it like a duck to water. And what we got there was an enormous amount of support from teachers, from staff, from other children. One of the teachers, who was a grade guardian, came to him and said, look, there are other trans kids in school. We realize that bathrooms is perhaps an issue. There is a specific bathroom for trans kids that you guys can use at any time. The support we got from the school was incredibly important for us. Well, one of the issues we had was with Milo attempting suicide was that he was obviously incredibly unhappy about openly being who he wants to be. And it is in the society or the community within which we live, it is very difficult to come out and say my child is gay, my child is trans. And it's difficult as we even face to this day, even within our own family. You know, some people are not accepting of the fact that he's trans. And when you arrive in a school which says to you, your child is accepted whatever your child wants to be, whether your child is gay or trans, black or white, you know, it makes an enormous difference to know, right, he's now in a safe space. He's in a space where he's accepted for who he is. He can actually sort of live out who he wants to be, without the threat of somebody, you know, making some sort of slurry remark or being nasty to him. Not that within our family, because we have a very sick sense of humor within our family. So we do use slur words to describe him and his sister. But if anybody else had to do that to him, I'll kill them. It's a...
Ngiyajabula ukuthi abaningi banokubheka, abaningi, most people bayazi sesiphila empilweni echangile manje. Abaningi bayazi ukuthi ile nhlobo, right, especially community yala, abanye abazi, abanye bamukele the way nathi simukele ngakhona. Ne-family nayo abanye bebangayithandi, but what can bangazokwenza kanjani ngoba thina sivumele lento ukuthi ibe khona. And then we are happy if he's happy, we are also happy because he's still alive, still our child, ayikho into echangile. Siyajabula kakhulu. Even no pastor wayebashadisa, what I'm not for, I can't judge. I'm not a judge, only one judge. Wa acceptana wapakhulekela baqeda umshado. Bashadile manje. Wethu into besimele ukuthi thina kuzaba bhayisa veza manje ayisa angabi njalo, but we still sayithanda kakhulu.
Ek was altyd die een wat met skool toe gaan. Van my vrou het altyd gesê, Dion, ek sal die kinders skool toe stuur, maar jy gaan praat. Dat ek altyd gegaan en dat ek praat ek saam met die onderwysers en dan het hulle altyd verstaan. Daar was 'n tyd waar dit bietjie swaar gegaan het van die manne het beginne, jong, lyk my jy te moffie. Jy sien sulke klas tipe. Ek het my nooit gesteer aan hulle nie. Want ek is dis my kind, van ek maak die kind groot, nie hulle nie. Vir ou en vir die dag moet ek alles sorg daar, nie hulle nie. Dis my algeleentheid. By die kerk, ons kerk aanvaar transgenders en ek soos my ma het nou nie aanvaar dit nie. Jy sien. Net my ma, spesifiek my ma het altyd, as ek daar na die huis toe gaan, en sê my ma vir my, Dion, jy moet praat saam met die kind moet nie so wees. Dat ek my ma verduidelik, ek sê, ek het 'n kind, nee. Moet ek aan my kind wegjaag, of moet ek het? Ek het altyd saam met haar gepraat, maar sy het ook nou begin aanvaar. Het was baie moeilik. Jy sien in die huis kan jy het aanvaar, maar buite is eintlik die groot kopseer.
When your child does something and says, okay, I want to be trans, you need to see that not as a condemnation of yourself, but more as a sort of validation of your ability to teach your child to think for themselves and be independent-minded. The child that was born in November 2008 is still here next to me. He's now 15. He's made his mind up about what he wants to be and who he wants to be. And if your child does that, it proves to you that you have raised a resilient, intelligent, and independently thinking child. And there's nothing that's changed. I mean, him and I still love each other. You know, he's still who he was when he was in 2008. He has grown up a bit, but he's still my child.
We're not say easy, but we have to accept it. Ngoba asiwona ama-judge, only one judge. Thina we are Christian. So mazothi ngoba thina siyilento le umntwana singamvumeli abe into ayifunayo. That means akusiyo uNkulunkulu ukuthi uvumela umuntu abe yile nto le, then mvumela abe yinto le, we're happy about him.
Don't cut that out, actually, so that people see
Hey,
that. Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Al wat ek kan sê vir hulle is, hulle moet hulle kinders aanvaar. Die Here het vir jou 'n kind gegee. En die Here het 'n kind vir jou gegee om groot te maak. Jy sien? En ek het vir haar groot gemaak. My kinders het respek. Hulle sal nie sommer hier voor enige een rook of die kinders het meer respek hê. Vernaam die seunskinders. Dis baie meisiekinders ook. Geen respek hê. Dis hoekom ek sê ek is maar bly. Sy het so uitgedry.
Ek voel ek is baie blessed. Ek het die lewe wat ek gesukkel het waar aanvaarding gaan soek het buitekant of by ander mense nie. Dan aanvaarding gekry in die kerk, by die huis, my pa, by my hele familie. Almal het my accept vir wie ek is. Al het dit 'n bietjie tyd gevat, maar ek is baie geseënd.
I understand that I'm very privileged, actually, incredibly so, because a lot of people don't get that acceptance at all at any point. And yeah, with my dad, it really wasn't hard. I've never had issues with having to come out to him or freaking out that he's going to be a certain way. In fact, he's the one that would sit people down and be like, this is still the Karawa I promise you. So yeah, I think he played a really huge role in getting people and being more accepting. I think it's important to have a good support system. I think that's the important part, because these people in my life have put their beliefs aside and their values to try and, understand me as a person and still love me unconditionally. So nobody has an excuse.
Like, I feel so much better. I don't wake up in the morning and I'm like, am I going to make it through the day? Because I know that I can. And I know that I have people with me who support me and who will love me through anything. And I didn't used to feel like that. So I'm just really glad. And I don't know, I just feel a lot happier now.
You have to ensure that at the end of the day, sorry, it's one of my famous things I always say, if you do a good job as a parent, eventually your child won't need you, because they'll be able to think for themselves and make their own decisions. And you only do that by supporting them with love, and showing them that they are accepted. Do you feel as though we love and care for them?
Yes.
Look, I won't say so.
I feel so loved, guys. It's insane. You're so cute if it's me. It's insane.
Yeah. I'll send him that one.
Oh,
No,
did you?
not the ad.
Why not?
I know. That's embarrassing.